With climate change knocking on the door and cases of drought and flooding and famine worsening food insecurity, the future sometimes looks very dark and scary, and even more so for communities that live in nature and depend on it for their survival. For these communities, adaptation and mitigation are not an option, but something that they must do if they are to survive the changing climate. And for some of these communities, the solutions lie in the very nature they live in. Hi, welcome to my Manyata. My name is Nasirian and we are in Nongotiak in Kajiado County. Actually, no, my name is Zenabondati and this is Earthwise. And yes, we are in Kajiado County, just on the outskirts of the Amboseli National Park. Why are we here? We're here to learn about ecosystem degradation and restoration and how the community that lives here, the Maasai community that lives here, is working together with the wildlife in order to restore the degraded landscape. How are they doing that? This on Earthwise. Climate change is a well-established reality in Kenya, with evidence continuing to mount in recent years as the country is frequently hit by droughts, floods, mudslides, crop failures, loss of livestock, and unpredictable erratic rainfall patterns. This is even worse in the arid and semi-arid lands where vegetation is scarce, temperatures high, and the landscape degraded and can no longer produce adequate crops and pasture.
Ore hali alameyu nikiimari alameyu sapuk kiimari engoloro amu ore apa peelotu olameyu neyawua iyiok eneedo amu itanyamala iyiok naleng naa ore duo oshi entoki niking'orita naa nkishu oshi masaa ang ninye oshi akaunti nikiata irmaasai niumisa apa iyiok olameyu naleng amu etuata nkishu negol enakop amu elakwa eneyaunyeki nkujit neeku kiyau tenelakwa nkujit ore enkare nemetii neeku kiimari apa engoloro sapuk tinakata teleameyu. Ore peelotu enchan neewuo ake akinyi metaa itu kitum enchan sapuk, eewuo enchan akinyi naa ninye piidol ajo inji ake etiu enkop, kinyi enchan naleng nikinoto metaa eton ake kigira aata ilo ameyu tesapuko. Ore naa enewueji natii naa Mehanani ninye duo naa nikiata enkure sapuk metaa ore etii olameyu neshilakino iyiok pookin amu kiata enkure naleng tenakop amu mikiata enkare. Naa ore tenewueji ele shamba nikitii kiimakita ngolikinot kumok tele shamba, kiata ngolikinot kumok nikiimarita amu ore kiturisho peno ninye nitum oltung'ani enkare niwok tenkutuk neeku kigira aimaa ngolikinot kumok kake kincho ake sii Enkai enashe amu ore apa tele ari nikitum enkinyi shan kake kinyi naa ninye kinotie ena ng'ole kiti pegu nikinoto ina shan nikinoto. Neeku kiimarita ngolikinot nirowua enakop nikiata enkure neeku entaret iyiok amu kiata naa engolikinoto sapuk nikiimarita.
Ara entomononi nabo ormaasai nikidol ajo etagolo enkop amu irowuaja kinoto challenge sapuk amu eewuo olameyu nemut intokiting nikidol ajo ore nche iyiok intomonok nikiata engolikinoto niisul esiai oonkishu amu ore mali nikintaa iyiok imali naa nkishu neewa olameyu amu etoyio enkop amu iting'o nkishu. Neeku ina ake duo iyiok kidolta ajo kiata challenge sapuk amu ore enkop netoyio enakop nikitii ajo metii megolu nkujit amu kirowuaja amu eton ake etii olameyu.
But over the last few years, change has been sweeping through parts of the Açores, one restoration project at a time, and women are at the center of it. It is hard work, and sometimes the men come to help. They dig semicircular shallow pits in which grass seeds will be planted to heal the land.
Pole pole tu. Okay. Hivyo. Okay. Na hivi vitu mmekuwa mkifanya muda gani? Mmekuwa mkifanya muda gani?
This project is mostly run by women, but there are a couple of men who are involved in it. And this is Joel, one of the few men at this site, and he's the one who was showing me how to dig this hole. Joel, habari yako?
Salama sana.
Uko mzima?
Kwa mzima.
Umekuwa ukihusika na umradi muda gani?
Na hiyo mradi hiyo ni ya mama sana. Hiyo mwanaume sio mwanaume. Sasa hiyo unasaidia wa mama tu.
Mnawasaidia tu kuchimba.
Unasaidia tu kuchimba. Kai sisi sio member ya
hii group.
Ya group. Hii ni ya mama, hii ni bibi yangu. Nimekuja nasaidia kila mwanaume hiyo ya mama.
Through the restoration of the grassland, these half moons address multiple problems simultaneously, including land degradation, soil infertility and erosion, biodiversity loss, and food insecurity. These half moons go by very many names, and one of them is Earth Smile. And before they are dug, they start out as a drawing on the ground, and these drawings are standard so that all of them are pretty much the same size. There's a string that's used and a stick that's stuck on one end, and then the semicircle is drawn all the way around before it is then dug out. So once it is dug out and it has evolved and it's grown for at least a season, it ends up looking like this. And you can see there's already grass in it, which means this one here has been here for a bit of time. So the technical team here that's helping this community with this project say that at first, when they're just starting out a project, they start small by digging such small pits before they get to advance and dig bigger ones like the ones in Turkana. And they're hopeful that as they increase the number of these half moons at this site, by next season, the whole 22 acres will be filled with grass.
Na ore beri unak yoro banne angare boy begro mango dara muke kwere angare ne udana yaha de niki asena.
We select sites that are very bare and do not have vegetation. So once we plant grass seeds or grasses in this grass seed bank, so we are restoring an ecosystem and we are also improving the carbon that is being captured. So secondly is
you've mentioned the carbon that's been captured. So
yes.
These grasses are carbon sinks?
They are carbon sinks, so they trap carbon from the air.
How many such sites do you have across the country?
So we have 15 grass seed banks that are active, and we are adding more grass seed banks. So we have about 6 that are in the pipeline.
Yes. These 6 that are in the pipeline, you're just targeting the asols only?
We are targeting the asols only.
Why a half moon?
Half moon, these interventions are designed in such a way that they are able to capture runoff water, surface runoff water, because we are not doing any irrigation, we are just depending on the rainfall. So when you look at the orientation is in such a way that it faces the direction of the surface
where the water is coming
where the water is coming from. So if the water is coming from that direction, the band should face that direction.
You said they capture surface runoff.
Yes.
How long are they able to retain this water?
The length of time which the water takes to settle or to infiltrate depends on the soils, the soil types. It depends whether there's an hard pan, because if you have an hard pan below, then the water stagnates. The water does not move.
So once this grass dries, how long before I have to dig it out again?
Yes. So the band will stay here for a long time, because the intention is to capture water, and we're not seeing it breaking anytime soon. So what you're going to do is just to harvest the grass and leave the band. So the band will be there for a very long time.
And the grass can regenerate?
The grass can regenerate. This was planted in April. So it rained in April, and same as this area, it was planted the same time. As you can see, even the furrows, like they are all aligned, they are all planted.
Yes.
So they received that two rainfall, which was not very big. And you can see the grass seeds germinated, and now they've dried. So if once they dry, they are gone, because they were not able to produce grass seeds. But for this one, because of the moisture that is in the band, it has enabled this grass or sustain this grass to remain even green without rainfall. And you can see how many months are those. That's May, June, July.
So that one therefore was planted without a band?
It was planted without a band. It was just an open space. In this grass seed bank, we have 2 grass species which were planted, and these grasses are endemic to this ecosystem. So we have the Citrus ciliaris, or the African foxtail. This is the African foxtail, and then this is called Maasai love grass.
Maasai love grass?
Maasai love grass, yes. It's a love grass.
Why is it called a love grass?
It has
oh yeah, it looks like a heart, yes.
A heart, yeah. Yes, that's Maasai love grass. So these grasses are drought resistant, and they can withstand, having little water in the soil for a very long time.
So for the grass you're holding there, what does the seed look like?
Oh yes. So the seeds. So these are the seeds. If you can see them very well, they are
And
very
they
light.
They go with the air.
They are very light, and they can be carried away by wind. Very light. Yes. So this is just the cover. The seed is inside, very tiny. Yes.
So when they harvest, they remove this or the tiny
No,
seed inside?
they just remove this one. So this is what is planted.
Oh, okay.
Yes, same as this one. This one has a lot of seeds inside. The seeds are in these pockets. Seeds are inside these pockets. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it has a lot of seeds, but we just plant it with that. So when it gets water, it
Germinate.
it's germinate. Yeah.
So you also plant it the way you would another seed, such that you dig a hole and put it inside the hole, or just?
Yeah. So for grasses, since they're very light, you just create a small furrow. You create a small furrow, then you put the seeds, and then you cover with the soil lightly. You cover with the soil lightly.
Meshinani area in the Amboseli ecosystem is a degraded land. Much like most of the arid lands, the soil is very loose, and therefore when it rains, a lot of this soil is swept away and goes somewhere else, leaving the ground worse off. So in this area, this is about 22-25 acres where these women are working at, and they're digging trenches such as this one along the edges of the land. This trench, they're calling it Fanya Juu, and that's because if I just go inside, you see how deep it is. Most of the digging is actually done by the men who are their husbands, because this is a women project. So the men come to help to do the heavy work, which is the digging of the trenches. So this trench here, as deep as it's almost at my knee level, the land is slanting this way. And therefore, when this trench is dug at the edge of the land, the soil from the trench is put on that side to allow the water to come and fill this trench up, overflow, and go into the half moons on the other side. So such trenches are allowing these women to be able to store this seed, the grass seeds, and grow seeds and grow the grass itself, such that when it reaches this height, the seeds can be harvested. These are the seeds. They can be harvested for more replanting somewhere else, and then the grass itself is sold for an income. For now, the land is still in preparation stage, but once it starts to rain and the grass grows, the transformation is spectacular.
Neeku enenyoki nai penyikakini iyiok nikibung'aki nkaik amu kitara apa ena tim metii osero nidolta ajo ketosidana amu iyiok naitautuo taa nkaik ang' itu kipuo olterekita iyiok. Neeku ore ake sinche ntomonok idim ake sinche ntomonok ainyito, etaa kidim sinche ntomonok ataas esiai naas ilewa, neeku kidol ajo eneret iyiok nikidim ake siyiok aashe dukuya.
Amu ore pee kintau ena pegu nikimirr kuna kujit, ore ake pee kimirr kuna kujit, ore ena kujita nikimiraki kuna kishu ang'. Eeta apa enkata nikitipika nkishu, ore pee kipik nkishu nikitum kila enkiteng' elukunya enkiteng' 500. Nikidol ajo kinotie faida. Ena faida ena pegu nikilep siyiok kira ntomonok, nikilepie uchumi ormareita lang'. Nitokini aaku ore enkae kiata oshi eshume natii elaale naa iyiok ake ntomonok. Ore tolapa kila entomononi enkolong' nabo nitum 300 kila lapa.
This group of women works with a team of experts from Just Dig It, and so far, at least 40,000 hectares of land has been restored in Kenya, and another 300,000 hectares is in the initial stages of restoration. Similar projects are running in Tanzania, where 375,000 hectares has been restored. On Climate Hackers, we learn what landscape restoration means for the pastoralist communities living in the Amboseli ecosystem.
Masai yeyote haui mnyama kwa kula ama kwa kuiuza.
The Olgulului community is organized. Our arrival here is welcomed with a cup of tea as the livestock are herded to the grazing fields a few meters away. The ranch's management committee is meticulous and strict. A work plan is designed, bylaws set, and non-compliance is punished.
Sasa hapa ni mojawapo ya masilanga ambaye tuko nazo hapa. Sehemu hii hakuna boreholes. Yale ambaye inatusaidia ni water pans kama hii, na ndio inatusaidia kupatia mifugo maji, na hata kwa watu.
Hata wanadamu pia wanakunywa maji.
Tunakunywa hii maji. Na wanyama wa pori vile vile.
Hii haikauki?
Hii inakauka kwa muda. Hii ni kwa sababu tu ya ile mvua kidogo ambayo tuliweza kupata katika sehemu hii, na ikaweza kupata hii maji kidogo katika silanga. Tuko na silanga baadhi hapa, lakini ikiwezekana ni vyema labda tuweze kuangalia jinsi tutaweza nufaika na kupata silanga zingine katika sehemu hii, ili kwamba watu wakaweza kupata maji ya kutosha na ya kutosha mifugo yetu.
Kwa hivyo sasa hapa pakikauka, mnaendea maji wapi?
Sehemu hii ikikauka kuna kilomita kadhaa ndio tuweze kufikia boreholes zile ambaye ziko hapa. Ambaye ziko sana sana upande sehemu inaitwa Eluai. Hapa tu Olgulului. Na ziko mbali kutoka hapa. Ndio.
Na the degradation, landscape degradation, nimesikia unahusika sana na mambo ya restoration of the landscape.
Yes.
Changamoto ambazo mnapitia na landscape ni nini?
Uzuri ni kwamba sisi kwa sababu sisi ni wafugaji, tumekutana kama jamii hii ya sehemu hii ya Olgulului, tukawa na sauti moja. Tunaongea kwa pamoja jinsi ya kuhakikisha kwamba eneo hii yetu tumechunga as in grass management iwe mzuri. Tuko na committees ambaye zimechaguliwa katika sehemu hii ambaye zinasimamia malisho katika sehemu hii. So ukikuta tuko na mipango ambaye tumeweka kama jamii hii. Hauwezi tu lisha mifugo kwa sehemu ambaye unayotaka, hauwezi hama kwa wakati unayotaka. Tunafungua mifugo saa 3 ya asubuhi ndio ziende malisho, ili ni kuhakikisha kwamba tuko na control over grazing over the entire area. Na kuna sehemu ambaye tumetenga ya njao, restrictly purposely kwa sababu ya njao katika sehemu hii yetu, ambaye huwezi lisha mifugo kubwa ama ng'ombe wakubwa.
Ni watu wangapi labda, au umesema mnakaa kama community? How many are you in the community?
Kama hii jamii hii community saa hii iko na households around 1,000 households.
Wow. So, na kila boma iko na mifugo.
Na kila boma iko na mifugo, kondoo na mbuzi. Ndio.
So hiyo restoration, hiyo plan yenye mmekuwa mkifanya, how long have you been doing it?
Tulianza mwaka wa 2016. Ndio tulianza. Lakini hivi nyumaye ndio sasa tumekuja tukaweka katika mipango kamili, ambaye sasa tuna mikakati na vitu ambaye tungependa kufanya kulingana na hii hali ya jua ambaye iko. Tunajua usipo manage malisho vizuri, wewe kama mfugaji kwa kweli utataabika. Ile kulisha ovyo ovyo sasa hakuna. We speak in one voice as a community, tukijua mipango yetu ama kumanage ile nyasi kiasi ambaye tuko naye. For the survival of this ecosystem entirely, we have to ensure that we protect it. Huko hakuna uchomaji ya makaa. There is no sand harvesting. Hakuna. Ukitaka kuni ile tu ambayo imeanguka unaenda unachukua
kuni. Unangoja ianguke kwanza.
Huwezi kwenda kukata miti ambayo haijaanguka.
Na hizo ni sheria mna enforce.
Na hiyo ni sheria tuna enforce. Unaona? Kama unataka kufence boma yako, ni lazima kama utakata branches, you only cut the small branches, the lower branches of a tree. Yani you prune, not cutting it totally because ya kesho.
Okay.
So Sisi tunataka sana mtu ambaye anatembea na sisi tukichunga hii mazingira yetu irudi katika hali ambayo inayotakiwa, ili kwamba tunapoondoka katika dunia hii, vizazi ambaye zijazo watakuta nchi ambaye iko sawa, habitable by human beings, livestock na wanyama wa pori.
What is the status of degradation here?
Well, I can tell you it's bad. It's bad. Well, there is a good level of restoration where traditionally there have been what we are calling olopololis and the dry period grazing areas and the conservancies that have been set aside. But in general, where there is uses and where to the watering points, there is big degradation. So definitely there is need for restoration.
One of the manifestations of degradation in arid lands is the soil quality, like this, very loose, almost like dust. Therefore, when it rains or when the wind blows, it sweeps it all away in erosion. And scientists have argued that what makes this soil look like this is the number of livestock that the pastoralists have, and therefore contributing to desertification. And they've argued that one way to fix this degradation problem is to reduce the number of animals in these areas. But the pastoralists themselves say they can do anything else but that.
Hatuwezi kubali kwamba mifugo zinafanya degradation of the environment. Kama kuna mnyama yeyote yule ambaye anaweza restore back nature, it's only a cow. Najua ng'ombe anatoa mbolea, anapumua pale, ile photosynthesis inarudi inaenda juu, ile cycle ya afya mzuri ama hewa mzuri ni ng'ombe tu.
The aspects of restoration that we are looking at, it is how sustainably they can be and see how things can be done differently. But as a society, it's being deliberated to those high levels. We are just managed to coordinate. And we are thankful that our ideas of the ecosystem management plan was adopted by the county government at that level as the special plan, in the special plan, and seems they want to replicate elsewhere where the traditional ways were forgotten.
With the climate changing rapidly and the world quickly running out of time to adapt and mitigate, experts say that ecosystem-based adaptation techniques present the perfect solution as communities grow, nourish, sustain, and survive together.
When you go to the arid lands, one thing you may see a lot are whirlwinds like that, with dust winds moving from the ground going all the way up into the sky. They're quite beautiful to look at, but one thing they illustrate is the level of degradation in that area. And so in this episode, we've seen how the Maasai community in the Amboseli ecosystem are trying to change that situation, to control the erosion on the ground so that when the wind blows, such occurrences are reduced. My name is Zena Bondati. See you again next week.